Welcome back. We've moved to our demonstration table, and I'm going to ask our experts how to use these home safety tools that you see here. And Mark, I called you John here a while back, so I'm going to get it right this time. Assistant Fire Chief Mark Erickson is going to start us out by showing us a smoke detector, and how do we replace a battery on these?
Battery replacement is pretty easy with smoke detectors. They're typically mounted on the ceiling or on the wall. It's usually just a slight twist to disconnect the smoke detector from the ceiling bracket. Inside, the batteries are exposed by pulling off a cover usually, and it's a simple, usually a very common battery like a 9-volt that you would buy in in the hardware store or wherever.
Do you have to use alkaline, or does it matter?
Typically alkaline is what's recommended, but many of them do come with other types of batteries nowadays. So
okay.
It really is, you need to follow manufacturer's instructions on what they recommend for the particular unit.
All right.
And the nice thing about smoke detectors, many of them are hardwired these days. So if the battery were to be out, you've got the backup, as well as they're connected to other smoke detectors in the house when they are hardwired.
And I think one of the things that I always was told that you should just check them on your birthday every time.
Smoke detectors need to be tested once a month.
Okay.
And pick your day for that. Linda may have some little reminder that would be helpful to do that, as well as the batteries need to be changed twice a year. And we typically say that should happen when you change your clocks for daylight savings time.
Okay. So Linda, I should probably be doing other things on my birthday, huh? Besides checking the smoke alarm.
One good little tip: when you make your mortgage payment, test your smoke detector.
Okay.
Just some tips that have been said.
Good.
This is a smoke detector that had burnt. We found in a fire that was still operating. It did pretty well.
That's amazing. So if the camera can see this. How about, can we talk a little bit about some of the other things what we have here?
This is what a carbon monoxide alarm looks like, similar to a smoke detector, and this one I believe you just plug into the wall, and you can get ones that are mounted on the wall or mounted on the ceiling as well, as I said before. It again has the test switch. Smoke detectors, by the way, too, the actual units themselves should be replaced every 10 years.
Okay, so the actual unit, now we're not talking about the battery, but
Nope.
the actual smoke alarm should be replaced every 10 years, okay?
Yes. Yep, and a carbon monoxide detector should be replaced 5 to 7 years.
Okay. You know, we didn't talk about how many smoke alarms should we have in a typical home. Is there a guideline?
You should have one on every level. You
Okay.
should have one outside every bedroom, and you should also have one inside every bedroom.
Okay.
And they should, as Mark talked about, they should all be interconnected so that if one goes off, so if there's a fire anywhere in your house, it'll go off throughout your house and alert anyone there.
Okay. And we were kind of having fun with this one. This is one of the new ones that when it does sound, it tells you, well, I'll play it for the audience here so they can hear it.
Danger, fire, danger, wake up, follow the escape plan.
Okay, escape plans. We haven't talked about that. Is that something that in reality we should all have?
Yes, especially if you have children in the house. It's very important that you have an escape plan so that when an emergency does occur, everybody knows what to do. And you should have a meeting spot outside your home that is not anywhere near your home. Maybe at a tree outside, or at a light post, or at a neighbor's. And everybody should meet there, and that way Mom and Dad will know that everybody's out of the house and okay, and not try and go back in the house, which is something you never want to do. And then you go to a neighbor's house and call 911. But
Okay.
everybody should get out.
Okay. You know, this, something we have here too with kind of worn extension cords, or maybe multiple outlets, too many on one outlet. Can you talk about that a little bit?
You can see how this has melted. This is too much plugged into the outlet. You shouldn't use multi-plug adapters. You should use plug single things into the single outlet. If you, like for your computer, you have your circuited strip bars, ground faults, those are fine to use, but you shouldn't use multi-plug adapters where you have more than one thing plugged into the one outlet. It's not designed for that, and you can see where this cord had melted, the black around it, and that's what can happen, what can start the fire. It overheats.
And if you have an extension cord that's worn, I suppose the best thing is just to throw it away and go to the hardware store and get a new one.
Yep, that way you won't grab it the next time you need one.
Okay, all righty. And we're coming up to that time of the year when maybe people like to have candles in their home for the holidays. And we've got a couple candles here. Can you tell us a little bit about candle safety?
You want to be very careful, never leave a candle unattended. Always make sure that someone is with a candle and you put it out if you leave the room. This is very nice because it's contained. Be careful about putting it somewhere where a breeze might brush across it in the curtains, or something might catch on fire. These that are battery operated, that you don't even have to light, are ones that we strongly recommend that you can use in place of actual candles that you light.
Okay. And Fire Chief, we've got some fire extinguishers here too. And you know, I'm always confused about the ratings on fire extinguishers. So who would like to tell me, who would like to straighten me out on what sort of fire extinguisher should I be buying for my home?
I can grab that. I know what I said earlier, but I'm feeling left out now. Typically, in your home, you want to have an ABC fire extinguisher. And what the A, B, and C represent are the types of fires that the fire extinguisher is certified for. So the ABC is a good fire extinguisher. It's a good general purpose fire extinguisher for your home. It'll take care of general combustibles like paper and so on, ignitable liquids, as well as electrical fires. So an ABC is typically the one you want to have. Now, I think the demonstrator model here that you've brought with you today is an ABC.
Okay.
And you'll see on the face, there's a small trash can on it.
Okay.
There's one that represents some ignitable liquids, and finally, electrical.
Okay.
The typical use of a fire extinguisher, we want to make sure that annually it's inspected by somebody that knows what they're doing on fire extinguishers.
Okay.
And we in the fire business, we like to see a tag hanging on the front that says that a reputable company has come in and actually made sure that that fire extinguisher is certified. The next is that there's a gauge on the front, and the gauge on the front represents the pressure that's on the inside that's pushing out the product that is on the inside, the dry powder. The way to use these fire extinguishers is very simple. We try to let people know that to use the word pass.
Pass?
Pass is something that we often use in the system. Now, I don't know if there might be a more recent one, Linda. Have I got it so far?
Still
Outstanding.
Got it.
So the word pass is something that we like to remind people of. Prior to the use of a fire extinguisher, though, the person needs to fully recognize the size of a fire that they're actually trying to fight. If the fire is too large, you want to make sure you leave it and get out of the building and get a hold of 911 immediately and exit.
Now, I think that would be a pretty critical decision as to, okay, if I walk into my kitchen, all of a sudden I see a fire, am I going to, first reaction is I'm going to try to fire the fire extinguisher, find the fire extinguisher, or am I going to call 911? Pretty important decision.
It's going to be a judgment call, and it's one that you're going to want to be right on with.
Okay.
Typically, a fire extinguisher this size will put out a fairly small fire.
Okay.
But more importantly, as you make that decision to fight the fire, we always want to make sure that the public understands the importance of having an exit to your back. So when you fight this fire, make sure you're approaching it in a direction where your exit is always at your back. So if things do go south on you as you fight this fire, you just turn around and your things should improve as you leave that area.
Okay.
So
now,
the word pass is essentially pull the pin on the top.
so the first P is for pull the pin.
Just pull the pin.
Okay.
Second is to aim at the base of the fire.
Okay.
And then the next is to sweep.
Sweep, okay.
Squeeze the trigger and then sweep. There we go.
Squeeze, okay.
And then squeeze and
So
sweep.
P-A-S-S.
Yes.
Okay.
What's a kid's future worth to you? Could you find an hour or two to help a kid grow up positively? That's all it takes when you're an optimist. We're role models, mentors, leaders, and friends to kids who want to do well. You can lend them a helping hand by volunteering your time for activities and programs that make a positive difference in the lives of young people.
Find out more about your local Optimist Club at www.optimist.org.